Hello students, how are you all? Hope you all are fine. So I'm here again with another part of this video. So in this video we are going to study about the female reproductive system. Alright. So in the female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries, a pair of oviduct, that is fallopian tube, and a sac or a pear shaped structure which is known as uterus, and vagina, and a vulva, the outermost part. All right, so these are the 5 parts of the female reproductive system. Now we will study them one by one. Ovaries, the first and the important part. Ovaries, they are the 2 ovaries, small and ovoid bodies. Only one egg matures, okay, in each ovary every alternate month. All right, so here one word question can also come from here. So these are the minute details or some important things which you just remember while you are making your own notes. Okay, so these notes are in such a way that at a glance you can understand everything. All right, so the next is a mature egg is contained in a cellular sac. It is in a sac like a structure which is called a follicle. This is called a follicle. All right, then as the egg grow, so as the egg inside this follicle will grow, the follicle enlarges with the fluid called the Graafican follicle. All right, it is known as the Graafican follicle. Here again one word question can also come from this. Now oogenesis. What is oogenesis? It is the process in which the ova producing cells give rise to the mature ova. All right, this process is known as oogenesis. Now ovulation is what? Now ovulation means the follicle, this follicle will rupture and it will release the egg which is now ready to get fertilized. All right, now here in this case what happens? The corpus luteum. What is corpus luteum? It is a yellow structure. All right, corpus luteum is a yellow shaped body which is formed. All right, so we will study this in details now. Now this corpus luteum secretes 2 hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone. All right, now what is its function we will study later on. Now oviduct, fallopian tubes. Oviduct are also known as the fallopian tubes. The oviducts are also called the fallopian tubes. About 12 centimeter, ovid has a funnel shaped opening which is known as oviductal funnel. The waves of the muscular contraction of the wall of the oviduct push the egg in the uterus, that is the where the sperm and the egg meet here, and the fertilization takes place. All right, so now we will study the structure of the of this ovaries. Where it is located? It is a hollow pear-shaped muscular organ situated in the pelvic cavity between the urinary bladder and the rectum. Okay, the next part of the female reproductive is the vagina. Where vagina is the place where it receives the sperm. All right, here the vagina is a muscular tube starting from the lower end up to the uterus. The vagina receives the male penis during the copulation. The great elasticity of walls allow the passage of the baby during the childbirth. All right, the opening of the vagina in the young females partially is closed by a thin membrane called hymen. All right, this is again in a one word question can come, that name the membrane which is inside the vagina in the young females. All right, it, or you can simply call it as a partially closed membrane in the vagina which is also known as hymen. It sometimes later on, when during the process of this fertilization is happening, then this breaks down. All right, the next is the vulva. All right, now what are the roles of the reproduction? Now I have just differentiated in such a way of a male and a female hormones. What changes do you find? Puberty takes place around 11 to 15 years in males, but in females it starts from 10 to 14. Here ovary releases female sex hormones, estrogen. Here ovary releases the female sex hormones, that is the estrogen. All right, here the changes. What changes in the mammary glands? Widening of the hips, growth of the hair. Here the changes of the deepening of the voice, testes, and all this takes place. Now development of the secondary sexual characteristics here takes place. So what is vulva? Vulva is the external female genitalia which also protects the urethra and the vagina. Now coming to the menstrual cycle, this is the very important part. Here what happens? Development and the release of the egg, then build up and breakdown of the uterine wall. All right, breakdown, and then the menstrual cycle begins at puberty. All right, when the hypothalamus stimulates the anterior pituitary to release the FSH and LH. These are two hormones. All right, these are the important hormones which are released by the pituitary at the time of the reproduction. So here you can see steps how reproduction takes place. I have just made it in such a way so that at a glance you can understand. Hypothalamus, then anterior pituitary, then FSH, it releases FSH and LH which goes to ovary, and here what happened? It fertilizes and it ruptures the ovum. It helps to ruptures the ovum, that is the egg which is inside the Graafican follicle, which we have already studied. All right, so if the ovum, here it is divided into two parts: the ovum, that is the fertilized egg, or the corpus luteum. All right, now this corpus luteum is what? It is an external outgrowth which is formed, which is in yellow color. All right, now it secretes two important hormones which further helps in the reproduction, that is progesterone and ogestrone. Maintains the uterine lining, forms the cushion support for the embryo, and estrogen, it assists the progesterone and responsible for the secondary sexual characteristics. All right, now here what happened at this time? Here two scenarios takes place. Once the menstrual cycle you have understood, then what happens? Now here, if the egg get fertilized, if the egg has fertilized, so two things will happen. Very important point it is. If fertilization takes place, that is if the egg and the sperm meet in the oviduct, the fertilization will definitely takes place. Or you can understand copulation has taken place, then sperm will enter in the vagina, fertilization takes place. All right, then the zygote is then transferred in the uterus. All right, that zygote will be transferred in the uterus, and the pregnancy hormone is released, that is HCG. It is known as the pregnancy hormone. It will be released, which is found in the urine or the blood samples when the pregnant females check for their pregnancy test. All right, what does it? It helps in induces the secretion of more progesterone to help to keep the uterine wall properly and to keep the baby and provide all the nourishment to the baby. So what happens here? You can see here first and second 2 points I have written. To keep the uterine HCG, the role of HCG here is the uterine wall ready for the zygote and provide the nourishment, and to maintain the uterine wall, that is endometrium, for next 8 to 9 months. That means what does it? It helps or it just provide a suitable atmosphere, you can say. It provides a suitable atmosphere. All right, it is a name of an hormone. So next scenario will be, once if the fertilization will takes place, next what will happen if the fertilization has not taken place, then what will happen? Then the endometrium will break down and the blood will flow. The endometrium, the wall of endometrium will thicken up. Why? Because there is no fertilization has taken place. Okay, so it will thicken up, and what will happen? Then it will start shredding the blood, which is known as the menstrual cycle, and it takes place after every 28th day of the female cycle. Now here you can see the 4 different phases of the menstrual cycle. Okay, so first is menstrual phase, which will happen between 1st to 5 days. What will happen here? The endometrium will shed the blood with the unfertilized egg, that is corpus luteum, and bleeding takes place. It lasts for 5 to 7 days, and after the flow, ovary begins to form into a new egg in a follicle. That will form a layer, and you will find one important diagram related to this topic only. Study that diagram also properly, because in this chapter there are a lot of diagrammatic questions which will come in your exam. The next one is the follicular phase. So what will happen here it ensures the formation of egg for the next cycle, that will take place with the 9th or the 10th day. Here the amount of estrogen produced by the ovary increases. The uterus lining becomes more thickened for the preparation of implantation of embryo. You can understand, like suppose this is the wall. Alright, so inside there is a wall which is known as placenta. This is endometrium, the wall inside the uterus. Alright, this is the uterus. Inside the uterus there is placenta. Alright, this is placenta. So it just provide a favorable condition. Here the zygote gets thick for the implantation. Okay, or you can say it implantation gets stick to the walls, or it is implanted. All right, the next is ovulatory phase. It takes place only on either on the 13th or the 14th day. The follicle ruptures and the released egg travel down the oviduct, and it thickens the endometrium. So what happens here? So if the egg has fertilized, then the pregnancy will take place, and if the egg has not fertilized, then means the endometrium will get thickened and the blood will start flow. That is what is called menses. The last is the luteal phase. Here the egg gets released in 15th to 18th day. Here the corpus luteum becomes more active and release the progesterone, so that endometrium gets thickened. So now you can see here I have written so and if, and as a result what happens. So if the ovum get fertilized, the corpus luteum continues to release. Why? Because it has to give the proper condition and suitable state for the zygote to keep intact in the uterus. And if it has not taken place, then what will happen? Then the ovum will disintegrate and it will stop producing. And what will happen? The corpus luteum will stop producing the progesterone and it will start shedding the blood. So as a result, what will happen? The thickened lining of the uterus restarts shedding on the 20th day and loses the blood, which escapes through the cervix and the vagina. Where is the cervix part? You can see in the in your the diagram which is given in your book, the cervix part. All right, which is above the vagina. And the female reproductive system has just flowchart type. Ovaries, follicle cells produce ova, then oviduct transport ova into uterus, then uterus protects the nourishing and the growing embryo, vagina receives the sperm, external organs are vulva and protects the urethra and vagina. All right, here at a glance you can understand. I will just make a PDF of this notes and will post in the comment. Okay, and if there is anything else you want to know, then do comment me. All right children, thank you so much. Bye bye, god bless you.